Hey guys, what is up? Austin here, aka Bowtie Guy 97, here with another video for you guys today. Now, in some of my other videos, I've showed different acceleration pulls, just depend on if we did a mod to the engine or whatever. And some people talked about gearing and how I should re-gear, and I've definitely thought about it and I want to do it, but you know, I need to get the money together and do it. You know, ever since I was running 33s, and really the 373s that are in this truck now were fine for 33s. In fact, they were great for 33s, but now that we're at a 35, the 373s, they're not, they do okay, but they're not the best. So that is what today's video is going to be on. But before we get started, if you are not already, follow me at Austin04_Z71 with the upcoming show season that's coming up. All information, I'll try to do my best to put it through there and more or less not here on YouTube. It's because, you know, you'll see it here on YouTube, but Instagram, it's a better place for you to interact with me. People DM me about questions. I usually do pretty good about answering my DMs. I post pictures on the story, my feed. I post when I put a new video up, maybe what I'm doing the video on, and sometimes I see modifications before I even do the video. So it pays to be, follow me over there on Instagram. You see things before, you find out where I'm going to be, if I'm going to be at a meet near you. And so it just works out pretty good all around. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So, like I said, we are running a 33 1250 on a 22-inch forged, fuel forged here. Now, if you want to see there, 35 1250 22. These wheels and tires are not light by any means. They are the Toyo Open Country RTs. They're about the same weight as a mud tire. Depending on what brand you go with, it might be just a little bit lighter. But I would say it's safe to say that these wheels and tires weigh about 100 pounds a piece, maybe a little bit more. Now, when you're trying to spin that type of rotational mass, it can affect power greatly. And that is really where gearing comes in to play. You really lose a lot of bottom end pull when you go to a tire this size. You know, I was before, if you guys are been a subscriber here or checked out the video before last, I recently replaced the mud tires that were on here and got these tires, and I was rolling on stock tires. While I was rolling on these stock tires, I realized how much power, especially in the bottom end, that I lost going from a small tire to a big tire. So, you know, that was another pushing factor that I thought I'd make this video and discuss, possibly re-gearing this truck. Now, the truck is a 2004 Chevy Silverado 5.3 liter Z71, which gave it the 373 gears. 373 is awesome gearing for this truck, especially with a 4-speed. They had a lot of bottom end power. They really took off, and especially if you did stuff like the tuned quarter intake and stuff like that I had done, you could break the tires loose at a stoplight by just hitting the gas. It would really rips, and even on 33s it would do that. Now with the 35s, not as easy to do that anymore. You know, of course when it's wet that's not a problem, but being dry, you really can't spin them like I used to anymore. So the biggest, I guess what I want to get into is, if you're thinking about gearing to a 373, or you're wondering what will happen once you do a 35 on 373s, let me throw out a couple numbers for you. So fuel mileage, I get roughly, and I can't keep my foot out of this truck, so this number can be kind of skewed. I'm getting roughly 9 to 10 around town. To some of you guys that might be awful, but to me, I really don't think that's that bad for a lifted four-wheel drive truck on 35s. So I think that's pretty decent, especially given this truck's age. Now, highway, believe it or not, highway is drastically better than city. I managed to get 16, 17 highway out of this truck. Sometimes a little bit more than that, just depends on where I'm traveling. Here around Virginia, we're so mountainous that it really kind of hovers around that 15, 16 type range, sometimes a little bit lower. But if I go down like into the Carolinas, it's nothing for me to get 17, 18 on the highway rolling, you know, 65. So if you have 373s, I don't know what your current mileage is, but on a 35, that's about what I'm getting. But you also need to consider, I do have a quarter intake, exhaust, a tune, and stuff like that. That all helps fuel economy. And on a stock truck, I would say that you would severely suffer from going to a 35, especially on 373s. But re-gearing doesn't always mean you're going to get better gas mileage. You know, if I bumped up to like a 411, 410, I'm trying to think which one would go in the GM 10 volt, but I don't think it'd be that big of a difference. I think if I wanted a difference, I'd have to go 456 in this truck, and that may very well be what I'll do. People pretty much say for the 4-speed, the 456 gears is a good bet, a good way to go with it. You know, you will definitely feel the bottom end power increase dramatically. Fuel economy, from what I have noticed, fuel economy numbers are pretty much going to stay the same. It's possible it could get a little bit worse, but actually what I've seen and what I've read on the forums, like Silverado, Sierra, stuff like that, these guys actually didn't lose any mileage at all. Some people even claimed that they gained mileage with the gears. They said the around town seemed to be the same, but on the highway it didn't really seem to mess with the mileage at all. So knowing that, I think I'd be pretty safe to go with those gears and not lose all of my mileage. Now, while I'm sitting here talking, going on and on, let's go for a ride here in the truck so you guys can see, you know, what kind of RPMs I'm putting out at, you know, road speed, driving speed, highway speed, and then we'll try to do a pull just so you can see how the truck responds to trying to roll 35s on a 373 gear. So let's get up in the truck and let's go down the road. All right, so one thing I forgot to mention while I was filming the first part of the video, the 373, this does have a locker. It's got a G80 locker in it. If you're unfamiliar with that, that is when it senses slipping, it will lock the rear end to engage both tires. It unlocks for economy reasons, and also just, it's kind of hard for a vehicle this size to steer with the locked rear diff anyway. But we are driving now, and I'm going about 50 miles per hour and putting out about 1400 RPM at 50. The truck really, especially up at the highway, the fastest I'm going to be able to get today is really going to be about 60, 65. But on the interstate, when I'm running 70, 75, it's not hard to be putting out about 2100 RPMs. And, you know, as you see right now, we're going 60 and putting out about 1700. So, you know, you can compare that with whatever you're running. And then if you go up to 65, about right there at, going down a hill too, kind of, but it's about right there at the 1900 to 2000 mark. And like I said, when you bump up to about 70, 75, you're putting out about 21, 2200 RPM. Now, I'm going to get up here to the top of the hill, try to whip a Yui and see. It's kind of, we're closing in on 5 o'clock, so traffic's going to be, it's going to be kind of hard for me to get an open slot. But when I can, I will try to do a 0 to 60 roll with 373s on 35s. All right, here you go. So there you go. That was the 0 to 80 pull, more or less. I did do that on a private controlled road, not a highway or a public road, of course. That would be illegal and unsafe. So there you go. You can do with the information as you will. Maybe you were thinking about gearing the 373s, or maybe you were just worried about how 35s would affect your truck if you do have stock 373s or any vehicle that has 373 gear ratio anyway. So I appreciate you watching. Feel free to drop all your questions, comments down in the comment section below. Follow me on Instagram. That'll be down in the description below as well. I do my best to answer all the comments I get, but nowadays I get so many, it's hard for me to keep track. So if you really want to ask me a question, feel free to DM me on Instagram. I really do pretty good about answering those, at least daily, when I can, as long as I'm not working or really busy. So thanks again for watching. As always, take care. Have a great day.